Thank you so much. So I'm so excited to be here because we are all on this journey for this week to explore this foundational question, like foundational models, foundational questions, right? So we have a foundational question. Is AI going to replace us as humans, or is it going to usher us into a new era, or is it going to improve our productivity? Right, so anyone who is working, anyone who is a knowledge worker, anyone who's working in the software industry, it's asking those foundational questions, what's going to happen with our jobs? And there are many who are also asking in the research community, is AI, generative AI, going to displace my research? Is my research still relevant? Can someone, with some intelligent prompts can do all the things that I've been working for 9 months? Can they use the power of a GPT model and do that in a matter of a weekend or something like that, right? So those are all valid questions. And for today, I'm so excited because I prepared some content that I never shared before. And there are 3 parts of my talk. So in the first part, I want to give you some examples of how generative AI is helping leaders as thinking partners, assisting them expanding our thinking, right? So there's a leadership in the title of the bootcamp, and so far nobody has been talking about leadership. So I will talk about how is it helping businesses? I'm going to show some of the use cases, and how is it helping leaders to thrive and to expand their thinking. So that's the first part of the talk. The second part, I'll bring some examples from the programming domain of the work that we are doing at JetBrains on a really cool product called AI Assistant. And I'm so excited about that product because it doesn't replace programmers. In fact, it makes programmers more productive. And I'm even more excited because it helps novice students, novice programmers, students, computing enthusiasts to learn programming better and faster. So I will demo a few of the features from the AI Assistant. And then in the third part of my talk, I will invite you to participate and see some of the exciting research that we are doing at JetBrains Research, which is the part of JetBrains that I'm affiliated with. And for that part, think about if any of those projects, it's something that is aligned with you, think about how can you join forces with us, how can we collaborate, how can we go further together. So is that cool? 3 parts? All right. So I also invite people to use phones today. So usually in the classroom I tell you, leave your laptops, put your cell phones, don't bring them in the classroom. But today I'm going to do exactly the opposite. So you'll need a cell phone. This is participatory. You'll need a cell phone with the camera, a smartphone with the camera. A cell phone needs to be connected to Wi-Fi or cellular because we are going to do something fun together. So are we ready to get going? Good. So I invite you, take your cell phone and point out to this QR code or go to slido.com and enter this manually, whichever it's easier for you. And let's see what generative services have you used so far. See, everyone takes their phone out, you scan that QR code. All right, so we see ChatGPT, GPT-4o, Claude. Let's see. Oh, more people are doing ChatGPT. Even more. Right, somebody's using the code, the slido.com code. Llama, we see Llama, Gemini, Llama. GPT-5, somebody has a preview of that. Copilot, Claude 3.5. All right, can someone who used, and this is like we'll need, I should have warned AV people, we need to be able to pass the microphones. Can someone share how they are using? So I saw that ChatGPT, it's the biggest, oh, Mistral, look at that. Mistral, a couple of people who are using. What is that microphone? Used to be a microphone here. Can someone please pass that microphone? And let's hear from people. What are some of the use cases? How are you using ChatGPT or Mistral or Gemini or GPT 4.0?
Maybe I'll say some stuff.
Right, yes. Since you have the microphone.
Yep. So yeah, I put continue.dev, so that helps me with like auto completions in an ID. So yeah, to help me write code faster, and you can use Llama, so it all runs locally, and it's pretty good.
Okay, so someone who knows how to use Llama locally, so you don't even go to the cloud. Everything runs locally. You never send any of your code. So
exactly.
That's great. Right on. Who wants to share? How are they using? Like right here in front.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. Right.
So I'm experimenting with Cohere's API and Llama mostly.
Okay.
And what I'm doing is to see if I can extract requirements from documentations of different automation tools.
All right. So you're using it to extract requirements. That's
Yes.
great. Let's see. Someone else wants to share. I can run the microphone, so I add two cakes, so I have like extra energy, more calories to burn. So, if I run around with the microphone, that's good for me. Let's hear one more person. How are they using?
I can.
Yeah, sure. You can get the microphone copy.
So I used local models to label data and create curriculums. And I actually have a IBM Granite model in my laptop, and I use it to create curriculum to generate synthetic data.
Oh, wonderful. So you generate synthetic data, you label existing artificial data, real data.
I like
everything.
data.
Excellent, excellent. Good. So here are some examples of how leaders of businesses, how they are using generative AI in business use cases, right? So Heineken, anyone has, it's a fan of Heineken? Okay, so Heineken. It's the leadership of the beer. Yeah, they are leaders of the beer industry, right? So they utilize AI to enhance their strategic decision making.
Can you click the OK button?
OK button. So I don't see any OK button on my screen.
I think you have to move the cursor.
All right. Okay. So we move on this other screen. There's an OK button. Okay. Good. Okay, so we talk about leadership, right? So this is serious stuff. Leadership. Heineken, leader in the beer industry. They use generative AI to enhance their strategic decision making. So they look at, someone says data, so they analyze customer data, marketing trends, market trends. So this is how they make informed decisions, right? There's a second use case, a company that I cannot give their names, but this is a really interesting. So this is a high growth company, and they have a very they face challenges because they have a very activist board. So at their board meetings, what they do, they role play. Before the board meeting, they role play and ask ChatGPT to role play and create a profile of certain board members and say, we have these board members with this background, and this is their personality. And then actually before a board meeting, they use ChatGPT to role play. This is the presentation. This is the content that we are going to show in front of the board. So it's all executives. And role play with us. What's the kind of questions that Mr. X is going to ask based on their profile, right? So that's a really interesting, it helps them, prepares them for those questions, and then when they present, it just like fits like a glove because they role play, they rehearse before. Content creation, so this is lots of companies who are using this for marketing content, generate targeted emails, all of that stuff. We all get enough. We were already getting enough spam before. Now we are getting even better spam now, right? Idea generation. So here's one that I'm really excited about. So this is where executives, you can already ask, hey, what's a potential solution in my industry, and it will tell you the obvious ones. But then if you prompt in certain ways, that it will force and say, what's something that is unusual? What's something out of the box? You say, well, I'm already. And you can ask ChatGPT to actually interview about your business and say, I'm already doing these obvious things, right? But what's something outside of the box, right? This is where, boom, go into the. So some of the largest models, just to get a picture, are training about like 200 million books, right? So that's the amount of information that they ingested. Like, so now imagine that you have at your fingertips with a response time of a few seconds, you can access that information, right? If you know how to access, which we'll talk about next. So let's see, how can I communicate better? So this is a demo that I want to do it. My clicker works. Let's see, my clicker stopped working. All right, how can I say the same thing in a different way? So that's the scenario that we were going to do. We'll use generative AI. We are a leader, and we'll use it to help us to communicate better. So we will also throw in a couple of interesting things. We are going to ask you to play the persona of a DISC personality expert. So this is a model of human behavior, a model of communication, a personality behavior. And we are going to tap into that body of knowledge, and we'll see how it can help us to communicate better as leaders. So here is the context. We are doing a role playing. So you are a department chair, and you have been requested some funds from Professor Jones to come here to the AIware bootcamp. And unfortunately, you had to decline because some internal budgets. So this is the email that we are initially writing as the department chair. So if somebody who has good eyesight maybe can read for us. Somebody who has a microphone and a good eyesight. Can you read to us the case study? What's the content of the email? Just read from here. Yeah.
Beginning?
Right. Yeah.
I regret to inform you that your request for travel funds to travel to the AIware bootcamp in Toronto, Canada has been denied. University has limited funds available for travel this year, and although I know you really want to go, I can't afford to give you the $2,500 you requested, which by the way is a lot to request at this late date at the current time of this request. I hope you understand our position because we really want our faculty to be happy. Even though I can't pay for this trip, I encourage you to apply again for the future travel money because I hope to receive more money budgeted for travel the next fiscal year of 2025-2026.
All right, so that's the case study. So how many of you got an email like this from your department chair? Well, I guess if you got that email, you wouldn't be here in the room with us. So those people actually are home. So everyone who was here was able to get their travel approved. So well, I invite you, turn towards your person next to you and discuss amongst yourself what's funky, what's wrong with this email. Like if maybe it's right, and say, well, this is perfect, just like let's send it the way how it is. Or maybe there's something that kind of like robs you in the wrong way. So just a quick minute. Turn to your neighbor and then I'm going to invite a few to share what's wrong with this email. All right, so you got the neighbor. Everyone's got the neighbor. Yeah, sure. So let me turn off the. All right, good. So let's have some fun and let's make this interactive. So we are after the afternoon break, so this is how we get back our energy. So what's wrong with this email? Or maybe if you want to argue this is perfect, it's ready. Push the send button. Let's see who wants to share. What did you notice in this email?
The first one is the subject, travel request denial.
Okay.
So it just doesn't feel right.
Okay.
It's like, they say you can say like travel funds denied or like something a little bit nicer. Okay, so when you even before you open this email, right, you see the subject denial or travel request denial, it already slaps you the wrong way, right? What else? Let's see. Okay, so we have Jack and then over there in the back.
It just passing like with my regular university email kind of thing. Well, the way I see it is at least the fiscal year of 2024, 2025 just started in September. But somehow the money already rang out in October.
Oh, okay.
And so it doesn't make much sense.
So they ran out the money. There were other people who were eager or something. Okay, yeah, okay, let's go in the back.
This second paragraph should be, it's better to be like a suggestion that for future it's better we suggest you to request earlier, we're gonna make sure you can't find. But like this frankly saying that it's too much and it's too late is offensive somehow.
Right, so this phrase here, like if they would have put this parenthesis stuff, right? Which by the way is a lot to request at this late in the game. All right, anything else? What's something else? Ahmed, right here.
I thought you were pointing. Oh, no, I'm not pointing. So what I did is I took a picture with ChatGPT, okay? And I
you're ahead of the game, because that's what I was going to do next. Okay. So,
I wanted to make that email, so I said, make that email, from the picture actually, right? Made the email more positive and upbeat and sound very supportive.
Okay.
And then after that, I said, add more hope and inspiration to the email. So this is what it said. Thank you for the request to attend the bootcamp. I'm truly inspired by your commitment to growing your expertise and contributing even more to our department.
So you're doing my talk, okay?
Sorry.
You're doing the demo for me. So should take the microphone away from Ahmed. Huh? Like this is like when you are with Ahmed, like this is how you say a great leader. Like he's always thinking ahead, like forward. He's already like 10 steps ahead of you. So let's have some fun with ChatGPT. So we'll just go at just a basic prompt, rephrase this email below. Let's see what it does. Right, so I just copy pasted that email. It's thinking. All right, look at the subject. It already changed the subject. Update on your travel funding request. Right, so kind of like it doesn't start with a denial. Dear faculty, member name, thank you for your interest in attending the AWARE Bootcamp. I appreciate the opportunity you saw for professional development for this event. Right, what does it say next? Unfortunately, due to limited travel funds this year, we are unable to approve the 25 requested for this. I understand this might be disappointing. Want you to know we generally value your growth and engagement with such opportunities. While we cannot support you at this time, I encourage you to apply again next year. We hope to have an increased travel budget. Thank you for understanding. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Right? So, is this better than the first one that we started from? Yeah. Right? It's more positive, more. Okay. Can we do better than this? Of course, right? There's always more than one solution, right? There's always something better. Okay. So let's try something else. So here is the content of the email. Here's the email. Right, and let's have some more fun with the prompt. So instead of me typing a prompt right now in front of you, I'm going to skip because I'm going to do a few iterations. Let's start with this one. And I'll explain to you what's the prompt. So this is the new prompt. You're an expert on DISC model of human behavior. I'm a department chair responding to a funding request from a faculty member. Using your vast knowledge and experience on DISC to relate to people of different personalities, rewrite the email below so that it's more appropriate for a recipient with S, supportive, sensitive personality. Explain the rationale for making the changes to match the S personality, and then produce a revised version of my original email below. So notice a few things that I'm saying. I'm giving it a persona. I say, now tap into all that vast knowledge on DISC model of human behavior. And then I tell him more about Faculty Jones, Professor Jones, like this supportive, kind of like a very kind, sensitive person. And let's see, what do we get? Right, then I also ask you, tell us, what are you doing, what are you changing, why are you changing things? Right, we are thinking.
To adapt this email for someone with S supportive, sensitive personality, we need to focus on empathy, warm reassurance. S-type appreciates a thoughtful approach, sense of stability, personal touch, and then gives us specific things. Here are some adjustments. Show empathy and understanding. S personality value connection, understanding. So we acknowledge them, we appreciate for their efforts, like soften the rejection rather than stating that it's denied. Use a general phrasing. Provide reassurance, right? So reassure them that contribution efforts are valued. Encourage a future engagement and use a warm and friendly tone. And here's the revised version. Let's look at that. Thank you for sharing your interest in attending the AI Bootcamp. I can see how valuable this opportunity would be for your professional growth, and I truly appreciate the effort. Truly appreciate you, truly appreciate the effort you are putting. Unfortunately, due to limited travel, we are unable to provide the full amount. I understand that this news may be disappointing. Please know that this decision was not easy given our desire to support our faculty in meaningful ways. While we cannot fund this trip at this time, I encourage you to apply again for future opportunities. We are hopeful that our travel budget will increase next year. Right? Thanks again for your understanding and your dedication to professional development. Please feel free to reach out if you'd like to discuss this further. Right? So now we will make ourselves available. Right? And then with warm regards, right? So this is quite nice for someone with that sensitive personality. Okay. I was going to do a couple more so we can even play with different personalities, like with someone who's like fun, engaging, inspirational, let's see. So that will completely change the tone. It will start, congratulating them and showing excitement and energy. So let me, in the interest of time, let me go back to the slides. So I'm reminded about this, probably you heard this parable of stone soup. Right? So it's a variation of this, probably you've heard in all kinds of cultures. So essentially 3 travelers go to a village and they are hungry and they ask for food from the villagers, and the villagers say, well, we are poor, we can barely support ourselves, we will not have any food to share with you. And then they say, oh, no problem. We'll make some amazing soup out of stones. Like everyone is shocked, stone soup, they never saw anyone doing stone soup. So then they will take a cauldron and we'll warm it up and we'll put some 4 special stones, and there's, as the water starts to boil and everybody's looking, where's the amazing soup, and say, we just remember, last time when we did this in another village as we were coming here, somebody had some carrots and some onions, and one of the villagers said, oh, okay, yeah, I have some carrots and some onions. So they go and find some carrots and some onions in the garden and throw in the soup, and then, soup starts to stir and to boil, and say, I forgot. We went through another village that was like a rich man, and they were able to throw in some buttermilk and some barley, and one of the villagers said, no, we got it. So they go and bring, and then and they stir in the soup and say, we forgot one more thing. We've done this for the king. And you know what? The king, requested to put some chicken. And one of the villagers said, well, I got the chicken. So they go and get the chicken and put the chicken in the soup, and so on. They keep adding one after another, and in the end, everybody shares together and they eat this stone soup, and everybody says, what an amazing magic soup that came out of stones. So here's the modern version of that. Tech executives come to village and they say, well, we have this with amazing AI and with some algorithms, gradient descent and transformers, we can meet any of your fancy imaginations for AI. But would be so much better if we have more data, so you can throw a bunch of text and images, and it will make us for such much better AI. Right? And we all go and gather and throw everything and say, whoa, there's something even more magical. So it will be even better if you throw in some reinforcement learning that we get from human feedback, and then we all go and help and all chip in, and And then I say, oh, no. One more thing. Last time when we made this for the king, it was even better if the humans learned how to ask the right questions, right? Learn how to do a little bit of prompt engineering and know how to write the questions the right way. And so we all go and do that, and we learn that. And in the end, villagers, wow, what a magic AI that just came from a few algorithms. And here are some of the secret ingredient sauce. Right, so a good prompt, like what's a good prompt? So we described the task, like what was our task, we were responding to that professor, like we gave the context. We assign a persona to the AI, like we ask it, you have all this vast knowledge of this model of human behavior, right? We specify precise requirements. We ask it to explain to us what was the rationale, explain to us what was the change that you made, right? And I didn't feature this, but play at home and try, give it a context and ask it to interview you with 2 or 3 specific, ask it, you can ask me 2 or 3 questions one at a time to find more about my context. Like, so you provide the context and then ask that and you'll be amazed and then ask it to give you the solution, right? So those are all the secret ingredients of how we can get this magic stone AI soup. All right, so here's some of the key takeaways. AI saves us time, so executives, it doesn't replace as leaders, as people who communicate, it doesn't replace any of us, right? So I could have probably drafted one of those emails myself, right? Would have taken several iterations, right? The quality of the questions determines what you get, what you ask. So it was Socrates who said that the quality of the questions determines the quality of the answers you get in life. So probably Gen AI read Socrates too much and agrees with that, right? And we ask it to explain, to give us the rationale, like so we could see if there was something that we didn't agree, we could correct, we could refute, we can refine, right? And ultimately, we could learn from it, right? So that was the whole idea. Right, so in the end, it doesn't displace us, it just made us better at communicating with people, right? And have you ever heard someone said, you heard my thinking? Have you heard any person, like you've done you communicate, say, you heard my thinking. Did anyone tell you that? Oh, you just heard my thinking, yeah? I never had that happen, like I say, well, heard my feelings. I never had anyone say, you heard my thinking, right? So all of us can learn how to communicate, how to relate with people, how to be more sensitive and sensible to people's feelings. And that's, right? Are we in the driver's seat? Yes, we are. Like, we are the ones driving the content of the email. But we are just expanding by being more sensitive to people's feelings. All right, so let me switch to the second part of my talk. So we're making good progress. Let's look at some examples of how computer science and students and novices can learn programming with AI Assistant. So here is a story. Everyone meet Julio. Julio is, well, he used to be, he's older. He was 13 when he discovered that his mother had breast cancer. He didn't fully understand, as you can imagine, a teenager at that age doesn't quite fully understand what that means, but actually he saw the struggle, and his mother almost lost her life. A few years later, he found 4 other friends who had a similar story. Their mothers almost died because of breast cancer. The statistics are really bad. So in the US alone, I don't know in other countries, but in the US alone, the statistics, the chances 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer within their lifetime. So they had this idea, what can we learn more about cancer and what can we do about it? So they invented a smart bra, it's called EVA, which monitors, so when a tumor develops, there's more flow, there is more growth of tissue, and changes the temperature. So they developed a smart bra, which uses biosensors and machine learning to monitor the temperature of so even when a woman wears that once a week, it can signal some changes in the temperature and can send the woman, go and do a mammogram, which can save their life. What's even more impressive is that Julio and his friend didn't know programming. They had to teach themselves how to program, how to learn machine learning. They also made some more friends. So they all, at the age of 16, they were all entrepreneurs and started this project together. And for me, that's the future of generative AI. How can we use generative AI to teach these 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old entrepreneurs, to teach them programming, to accelerate their growth so that they can invent the next solution that can save lives. Right, so last year I attended a wonderful seminar by Elizabeth Churchill, the director of user experience at Google. And she said, these are some of the nine of the hardest things that programmers have to do. And if you look at them, 9 of them are rocket science, like writing tests, writing documentation. Like programmers can do them, right? Anyone, I don't know many people who love to do those. It's not rocket science because it's hard. It's rocket science because they don't like or don't want to do those, right? Reading somebody else's code, right? So if this is hard for professional software engineers, how much more harder it is for computing novices. And this is where I'm going to skip over this in the interest of time. This is where IDEs have been helping us to do some of these things. And going back to the question, can we do better? Someone says that yes. The answer is always yes. Okay, so how can we do better? Right, so this is from a study that Amazon Code Whisperer did at how people who are using generative AI, they code 57% faster. Okay, that's okay. What I like even more is this second number, 27% more likely to succeed. So novices who are learning how to program are 27% more likely to stay and learn and wrestle with it until they get it right. So here are some features. So generative AI is rapidly changing the landscape of development environments. So at JetBrains, we are at the forefront of that. So one of the 9 things, remember one of the 9 hardest things that programmers have to do, it's read someone else's code, right? So this is a feature in the AI Assistant in JetBrains that a student can invoke it to explain some code, right? And then we get there an explanation, right? So this is pretty awesome, right? So we already know that people spend more time reading code than writing code, right? And imagine, I'm not saying that this is going to replace teaching assistants in Intro to Computing classes, but if an AI assistant can help with 80% of this coding, helping students get unstuck, and then they go to a teaching assistant only with the remaining 20%, it's a huge gain for us, right? So there are a few other things that explains code, bugs, summarize recent code changes, code reviews. Right, so here's another one that a student wrote some code, and if you look here on the left, it's a loop that's, it's a Java code, iterates, and it's an infinite loop. So at some point when you run this, you'll get run out of memory. The heap memory runs out, the JVM runs out of that. And the AI is explaining, okay, that's the problem here. It's this loop, and it's even suggesting to put a termination condition. It's suggesting there are 1 million elements. Here's another one. You heard this famous thing, what's in a name? That which we call the rose, by any other name will smell just as sweet. This was William Shakespeare, right? This is a line from the famous play Romeo and Juliet, right? Convey the naming of things is relevant, and if I was meeting Shakespeare today, I would tell him that he's wrong. When it comes to programming, we know that Shakespeare is wrong because there's a lot of value in naming variables, in naming functions, giving them intention revealing, right? So this is a feature in the IDE, in AI Assistant, in IntelliJ that helps developers and novice students. You'll see a lot. This is typical of user student code with cryptic variables, QP, X, Y, T. It's helping them to, right, so if I had more time, I would have done probably another 20-something features, and there's every month there's new features that are coming. So that's what really excites me. That's the, how can we come alongside and help the programmers with the 9 hardest things that they have to do? All right, so last I want to finish with some of the exciting Gen AI research that's happening at JetBrains. So we are just not simply wrapping OpenAI service calls on some nice IDE plugins behind a nice UI, but actually we're doing foundational work in the platforms, in the AI itself, Gen AI solutions. So if any of these projects really excite your imagination, please come and talk with me. I would invite you to think about which of these projects are exciting for you and what's your expertise and how can we join forces together. So AI agents and planning, so this is the team that I'm part of. So our mission is to come up with decision-making systems, right, that call all these, IntelliJ has more than 2,000 tools, right? Most of the people never know that or never use them. So our team is developing a platform called IDE Former, which allows agents to actually programmatically call and tap into all of those features of the IDE. One that I really want to talk about, so we have 4 agents we are working at the moment. Let me introduce the debugging assistant. So this is an AI agent that solves errors in computational networks. It seamlessly integrates with DataLore. DataLore is the JetBrains IDE for data scientists, right? So we've done some user studies, and findings show that data scientists who use this prefer faster. They get faster to get past their errors. It helps them to find errors and solve them faster. And then there's a paper that just came out, will be presented next week at EMNLP. If anyone wants to head south for the warm weather in Miami, you can go and see this paper, Debugging Smarter, Not Harder. So I put there the QR code, and then I don't have time to talk about the other ones, but yesterday I talked about some of the work that we are doing with refactoring assistants. So let's look at another one, software testing research. So again, the approach here, the objective is how can we come alongside software testers, how can we make it easier for people to write tests. So Test Spark, it's the solution. So this is LLM-based, so uses both LLM and also search-based Evo Suite. It supports both Java and Kotlin. This is where you can find more about on the QR code. There's a lot more work going on testing the whole pipeline of AI. A lot more also going on language agnostic test generation, right? And you can find more information about these projects on these QR codes and on these links, right? So I'm moving forward faster now. Programming languages and program analysis, right? So these are looking at how can we give reliability and can we verify information count of generative AI. So lots of projects here. If you are big into software proofs, you know, there's instead of Copilot, it's a Cogpilot. So if you are a big fan of software verification, fuzzing, this is a lot of software verification. Right, let me go to the next one. So this is a code modeling, right? So this is hardcore code completion, code generation, right? So I want to highlight one of the projects in this area, the long code arena. So I think people were talking yesterday about at the dinner about the human eval and what are the problems with human eval and how it's not representative. So long code arena, the reason why it's called long code arena, it's because it has 6. It's a suite of benchmarks for 6 code-related tasks. So those on the right side over there, my left side, your right side, and then it contains a project and task up to the whole code repository. So it's very representative. It's large projects, very representative of how software developers do coding in the real world. Okay, education research. There was somebody here, right? I think yes. Somebody who was interested in education research. So lots of exciting work on education research. So again, the goal is how can we help in the edtech market. So there's a few solutions that JetBrains provide, JetBrains Academy. So this is our research, the project that we work on. It's how can we accelerate student learning? How can we help them with tutoring? How can we help them learn programming concepts faster and better? Low code and no code, people were talking about that. Yes, that's also in the scope of this project. So lots of projects here. So if you look at the QR code, there's a plethora of projects. And finally, I'm running out of time, but my last slide, I want to leave with this departing thought from this Greek dude, so Heraclitus. He lived 2,500 years ago, and he is famous for saying, change is the only guaranteed constant. Right, so now this is probably even more true today than it was 2,500 years ago. So our society, our community is going through a dramatic pace of change. Like people are wondering what's the future for us. And I just want to remind us that 60% of the jobs that exist today didn't exist in 1940. Think about 60% of the jobs today did not exist in 1940. So I think what's happening with AI is going to revolutionize the roles, the way how we do current jobs, and of course going to create new jobs. And our role is to adapt and to master it, to conquer it and to adapt, right? That's why we are all here. That's why we are in a community to learn from each other, and we are all here to grow together for this week. Right, so we talked about how Gen AI, how IDE, how tools, how human in the loop together, it's better than any of them in isolation. And I want to invite, if any of these projects that I showed here resonate with you, if you have experience and passion for this, let's join forces. Let's build together these amazing development tools that help novices and help software developers. And yeah, together we can go a lot further than alone. So we can provide technical expertise. We can use your technical expertise, right? We can be thinking partnership, your ideas, help with evaluation. If you have a project that requires some evaluation with some real users, we have access to hundreds of thousands of students through our network for JetBrains Academy. We have access to tens of thousands of software developers who are using a special part of a special program where they are participating in early access previews. So we have access to people, to users. If you have something that needs that kind of evaluation and you're trying hard to find users and to get feedback, let's talk. Let's invent the future together. So with that, I'm running out of time, and I'm so gracious that you allowed me to come and present and learn from each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny, for a nice talk. I think we're open for a few questions.
I have a quick question about, so you had a slide, I think code modeling, and you had low resource language. Can you comment maybe a little bit more about this aspect of low resource languages and what you're doing around it?
Yeah, so low resource languages are languages for which there's not a lot of training. So for example, Kotlin, which is a language, it's a general purpose language from JetBrains, and it's done for, most people who do Android programming will write code in Kotlin. It's also very popular on the server side. So there's not a lot of data sets that the machine learning, the AI has trained on. So how can we boost the effectiveness of code generation for those languages? And there are other languages that are even much less used than Kotlin. So yeah, that's what our colleagues are looking at.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
Thanks for your talks. So I had a question kind of about developer experience and user experience. A lot of developers are sort of adapting AI tools, but maybe only like line completion, because that they don't have to change anything about their workflow. That's kind of something that a lot of developers are very used to. So I'm curious about how you think about that, and what are the biggest needs there in terms of actually letting developers use these tools built into IDEs.
So if you're looking at probably the biggest, so tell me if this is the question. The biggest, the lion's share, it's line completion, like Copilot, that kind of stuff, right? So how can we help people to move beyond that, and how can we educate them about all these amazing features? Well, one of the things is you are here, right? So you are the first to see and to learn about these things. So use them. So word of mouth, it's a very powerful tool. I would imagine that people also learn about this from attending professional conferences, and you're going to see more of the JetBrains folks going at coding conferences and demo this. What are some other ways? What do you think? What are some of the ideas that you have?
I mean, I definitely think there are small user experience things. So some things that, not to kind of talk about alternatives, but like Cursor really nails his keyboard shortcuts, and other similar things of making it very natural to use these tools. So in that's kind of the line of things where likely there's going to be certain patterns and new keyboard shortcuts or new patterns that are eventually going to be kind of more standard as standard as kind of copy and paste that people are familiar with on computers. So. Thanks.
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
Okay, I'm over here.
Okay, let's see, who else has a question? Ahmed right there, and
Okay.
then somebody in the back? Or? Yeah.
So, you know, I guess you've been doing a lot of work in this area, and as well, it's very impressive, a lot of the work that JetBrains is doing. And maybe two deeper questions is, what are your thoughts on how, you know, undergraduate curriculum needs to be changed? So, you know, I think yesterday in the panel you talked about, computational thinking, and seems to be people going to be doing more code reading than actually code, you know, writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one, more on languages, because I noticed you have stuff on languages. What do you think? Like, do we need to change Java so that people can actually code Java or whatever programming languages where they're really, from day one, there's AI assistance. So even like the concept of a loop might not exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some new programming languages need to be still influenced by our old languages and kind of, you know, coming there. So yeah, two directions. What should happen to programming languages? What should happen to undergraduate curriculum? I know
Yeah.
this is a long...
And undergrad curriculum, are we talking about computer science or about just broad?
Let's start with computer science.
Computer science, okay, yeah. Yeah, so again, you know, my views, you know, this is where people from industry always tell you, know, their views don't necessarily reflect the view of the employer, so I'm going to share my personal views about this, which some might be aligned or some might not be aligned with how JetBrains thinks about this. So in terms of undergrad development, you know, people are saying, well, the cat is out of the bag on Gen AI, you know, what should we do? So there's like one hard line which says, well, we should keep students from ever touching any of these generative AI solutions until, let's say, year 3 or 4 of their education. You know, by then the idea is that they have a solid foundation of the big building blocks, right? So then they have to wrestle. So I was talking yesterday with someone over there at UBC, right? So she was sharing how the fact that the undergrads, some of the junior undergrads, they have not wrestled and have not put in the time to master a topic, and they simply just go like with the credit card, like swipe and get the quick access from ChatGPT. It's hurting them, and I believe that. Right, so that's that one line of thought that says, well, it's hurting, and we have evidence now, years, you know, a couple of years of students who started with ChatGPT and didn't put a long time and hours, which is required to master any topic, computer science, like music, like anything else, requires like mastery, chess, anything requires. So if people didn't put that effort to become masters, right, it's going to be hard, you know, it's going to be hard in year 2 or 3. So. And then the other ones who say, well, you know, the cat is out of the bag, you can't. So I think what we need to do better is to teach them how can they use it responsibly. How can they, instead of being out of the driver's seat and then let the generative AI generate the solution, like it can solve any first year, second year problems, computer science problem, like anything that you can imagine, you can concoct, just throw it into a generative AI and very likely will solve it for you, right? So let's teach them how can you use it responsibly, how can you use it in a way that it teaches me, right? How can I use it, how can I change the prompt so that I learn from it, explain to me the rationale, like then I go and I have like a Q&A session, like a thinking partner with AI, so, right? So I think in a way, it's also our responsibility as educators to teach students, okay, it's a very powerful technique. It can be used like a crutch. If you're using it as a crutch, right, in the beginning you're going to go, but you're not going to develop the strong muscles, right? So this is how you use it in a way that it also helps you grow. So that's my take on it. Like we can't keep it away from them. They're going to use it anyway. We also, it seems like the other extreme of, you know, let them just go quickly to a ChatGPT, boom, write the prompt, get the solution, send me the assignment. So I think it's that middle ground, like you see the pendulum swinging. So it's that middle ground where it's a powerful tool. Let's teach them how to use it, like with the calculator. Like, you know, yes, it's a powerful, but you need to understand the foundational algebra the same way. Like, let's teach them how can they use it in a way that helps them learn and helps them grow. That's my personal view on this. Your second question was on programming languages and how can we have AI be a first-class citizen, right? How can we? So Kotlin, I didn't have time to talk about. There was one of the bullets on the slide of programming languages. So my colleagues, Igor Bogolomov and his team, that's what they are looking at. How can they push AI to be a first-class citizen in the programming language, right? So what are some ways, programming language constructs, other ways of thinking about programming that embraces AI as a first, not as a second afterthought, but from the beginning, this is a new way of developing programs and thinking about programs that embraces AI. So this is an example where Kotlin it's a young language, and there's it's still flexible. But if you're talking about like legacy languages that have believe it or not, Java it's a legacy language. Like people talk about COBOL, and yeah, those are good, right? But Java it's a legacy language, so ideas like that are a lot harder to embrace by a language that has had a legacy of 20-something years behind.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. That was such a great talk. Let's put our hands together for one of the legends in the IDE, I guess.
And you've been an amazing, wonderful audience, so thank you.